All right, introduction to JavaScript Fetch API. So we're going to explore the JavaScript Fetch API. So this powerful API provides a modern way to make network requests. So for those of you who might be familiar with web development from the past, this is similar to XML HTTP request, but it is a definitely more flexible and has a lot more robust feature set. And we'll look into how Fetch leverages asynchronous request and promises to handle network communication more efficiently. I have this example, a simple example to fetch data. So we have this function, asynchronous function called fetch data, and we have a try catch block. We first set the URL for the API endpoints, and we can call fetch function by providing input as a parameter. And by awaiting for fetch, we will get response. And uh, when you have response, you can, by calling JSON method, you can convert that into data, and you will be able to uh, console log data. If there was some issue with uh, the API endpoint not being valid, or there's some issue with server, you might be able to uh, get an error message with console error. So here, core concepts of Fetch API. So at the heart of the Fetch API are abstractions of core HTTP concepts, which we are familiar with. They are HTTP requests, HTTP responses, and headers, and they all are represented as JavaScript objects. So this uh, function fetch, what it does is it will initiate network request in an asynchronous manner. But the difference between the traditional callback-based approach is that uh, fetch is completely promise-based, so it makes it more aligned with modern JavaScript practices. So the fetch method is straightforward. So at its simplest, it takes as I explained in the first slide, it takes in uh, a URL, and it returns a promise. What we mean by promise is a promise that resolves to a response object. So if you look at this example, we're fetching into URL, and uh, we're uh, we're parsing it by providing JSON method. So this demonstrates how fetch doesn't directly return the response data, but provides a promise that we then process to extract the needed information. Working with headers and GARs. So headers, as as you saw from interacting with uh, web browser, like a developer inspector tool, uh, headers in Fetch API play a critical role in defining request and response metadata. One interesting aspect of headers is the concept of GARs. Uh, what we mean by GARs in headers is that guards regulates how headers can be manipulated. So for instance, a guard can restrict changes to headers, ensuring the integrity of the request or response. Making post request. So fetch is not just for GET request. You can also make post requests and send data to server. So this involves setting additional options in the fetch call. So as you can see in this example fetch call, we have the method specified as post, and headers we need to specify because we are making a post request. We need to specify what the content type is. So we can set this to be application JSON, and body of the request, which is data that you receive as a parameter, which for this example is a JSON object with answer as a key and a value as 42. And since this is a JSON object, in order for us to uh, attach it to the body of the request, we will need to uh, make this into a string format, so we can call stringify from JSON. So advanced fetch API features. So fetch API also provides advanced features like aborting ongoing requests, managing credentials in cross-origin scenarios, and handling file uploads. So these features make uh, Fetch a versatile tool for various web development needs. And the example that I'm showing you is a way to abort ongoing request. Just to briefly explain what this does, you instantiate a new abort controller and then have a set a controller signal as a signal variable. And when you have asynchronous function to fetch data, and you have try catch wrapped inside. When you call fetch, not only you provide URL, you will also uh, provide signal as a second parameter. And then you can, what happened is, because we are, it will try to convert to JSON and try to print out data. And when it when there's an issue, error is thrown, then this error catcher would catch. And if error name is abort error, it will console log fetch aborted, or it will say what the fetch error is. Because in here, as soon as we call fetch data, we call control abort. This fetch will raise an abort error. Next, error handling and response validation. So a key part of working with Fetch API is handling errors and validating responses. So Fetch promises they only reject on network failure. So if you have any HTTP status error like 404 or 500, Fetch promises won't reject. So you want to kind of handle those on your own unless you use library. So to kind of explore how to properly check responses and handle different types of error, here's an example. So you will await for fetch, and then once you get a response, you will be able to see what the status of the responses. So here is this conditional asking if the response doesn't return with status OK, it will throw a new error and it will print out what the response status is. So once this error is thrown, it will be caught here and we will provide console error. Here is a practical examples and use cases. So this will be like the last example. So here is a practical example showing one of the common use case of the Fetch API for the example, which is uploading file, but there are other common cases of handling various data formats, configuring requests, and applying best practices. Just to go over this upload file, you can see that because this is JavaScript code is interacting with document object model, so it will try to find uh, HTML value with input type file. So whenever if you browse through web, you probably have been to a site where it allows you to upload a file. So basically, uh, it listens to this file input, and when that happens, it will this upload file will create a new form data, and then it will uh, append this file that it receives from this event listener, and then it will try to make a post request with request body as a form data, and then it will get the response. So this is one of the use case. So in conclusion, the Fetch API is a powerful and flexible tool for making network requests in JavaScript. Uh, the Fetch API is promise-based, and it has ability to handle various requests and response types that makes it a great choice for modern web development. So I encourage everyone to explore its capabilities further. Thank you.